When we link with my G's, and you know it's a celebration, yeah.
What's good, peeps? Welcome back to JP Sports TV. So we're here to do another best 10 in Premier League history. We've done strikers, we've done wingers. Now we gone to midfielders, and that's defensive, attacking, box to box. So anyone that plays basically centrally as a midfielder. So yeah. So let's start now. So who's your number 10, mate?
My number 10, a lot of honourable players have been left out, but my number 10 is Kevin De Bruyne.
Okay.
Alright, now why have I picked him above so many other obvious candidates is because obviously forget this season, prior to that, for the last 3-4 years, he's been very consistent, one of the top midfielders in the world. His assist stats in the Prem, I think he's almost gonna break the all-time assist stat, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know, I haven't checked the stats. But yeah, we can't undermine how brilliant he has been for the last 4 or 5 years. He's been iconic to Man City dominating in the Premier League. So yeah, that's my number 10 still.
Okay, my number 10 is Claude Makelele. Very simple.
I had him in my thoughts still.
He's the best. Anyway, he was the best holding midfielder. I created a role after him. You get me, in the 4-3-3, the one that sits. But what can I say about Makelele? Makelele is a guy that
he redefined his position.
He was very good at tackling, very good at positioning, very good at playing simple passes, and he was the important piece in that Chelsea team that started winning titles. And again, he was very important as well. Real Madrid, where he won the Champions League. You get me, and he brought that winning mentality to Chelsea as well. So yeah, they named the role after him. So how can you not even have him in your top 10? For me, he has to be in there, man.
My number 9 is David Silva.
Okay.
Obviously, for me, he's a Man City legend, mate. He's been at City before he left. He was there almost at the beginning. From when obviously they started their rise and dominating the Prem and not really European football, but yeah, he has won, I believe, his 4 Prems, and some players are not even lucky enough to win 1 Prem. So for him to win 4, again, prior to De Bruyne, at the heart of everything that Man City has, he's been at the heart of for everything Man City has done in the Prem. Fam, there's no, I can't say anymore, mate. He's just a fantastic baller.
My number 9 is Angolo Kante. Again, why is number 9? He's basically the Makelele 2.0, which means Kante played the Makelele role, but he obviously has more qualities to his game than Makelele. He can run around more. He's you can play him in different positions, and yeah, playing with him is like having an extra player. And let's not forget, he's a back-to-back Premier League champion with Leicester and Chelsea. You know, something that has never happened. You get me? Being champion of a team that should never have won the Premier League. And he was, along with Riyad Mahrez and Vardy, the most important players. And we've seen this season he's back in form and unstoppable. So yeah, he's basically Makelele 2.0. So he has to be in this list and just above Makelele. So he's my number 9.
Right, number 8, who you just mentioned, Angolo Kante.
Okay.
Everything you just said, like, mate, back-to-back Premier Leagues with Chelsea and Leicester, as you said, never done before. Man came from the 2nd tier of France, came Leicester. As soon as he came Prem, blood, what he was doing, he was everywhere on the pitch. And at one point, well, for me, he's still one of the best defensive midfielders in the game right now. And obviously, he said he's starting to rediscover his form with Tuchel. So yeah, nothing more said, mate.
My number 8 is Kevin De Bruyne. Yeah, man. And I'm 100% sure he'll probably get higher, but it all depends on where he finishes his career. But we're talking about Kevin De Bruyne, who most will say is the best player in the league. He's the top 10, obviously, assist records. Obviously, you said earlier about his assists. He's nowhere near breaking it now, unless he stays in the Premier League for the rest of his career. Because there's some fantastic guys anyway that are on my list who are kings of assists as well. But Kevin De Bruyne, of course, it's hard to put him higher right now, even though some can give an argument to why he should be
higher.
Because this guy has won the best player in the Premier League award. He equaled, I believe, Thierry Henry's assist record. He equaled it, which is obviously another record. He's obviously won league titles at Man City, and right now, people are still saying he's the best player in the Premier League. So, and he's arguably on form the best probably midfielder in world football. So he has to be on this list. But again, probably because he's a City player, they don't have a lot of fans who fight for the corner. But I do feel like he will end up finishing higher. So number 7, mate.
Number 7, right. Man like Cesc Fabregas.
Okay, we got the same then for number 7. But yeah, go on.
The reason why I picked man like Fabregas, obviously, you know that both of us are Arsenal men. I've admired him since, man came at the club and started balling since he came on the scene at, 16? And for then, to have a run of games and to be our captain at a very young age, 2021, innit? 21, it was 21 when he got given the captain armband. And at that era of football, even oppositions, like, they have nothing but big praises for him because he was so elegant, so technical. Obviously, he's Spanish. Blood, at one time, nobody touched him as At that time, I believe he was literally the best midfielder in the Premier League. He's so unlucky he was unlucky not to win a Premier with Arsenal. He done it with Chelsea. Even his time at Chelsea, his first season, he was unbelievable when he won the league. So man.
Yeah, obviously number 7 for me as well, Cesc Fabregas. Again, it hurts me because I probably should put him higher, but I've got reasons for other people being higher than him.
Yeah, that's true.
But let's just define this guy. Second all-time assist in Premier League history.
That's a hell of a
He's second. Yeah, let's let people think about that. Second in that, he's obviously of course as well never won a Premier League at Arsenal, but broke in at Arsenal when he was only 16. You know what I'm trying to say? And he brought elegance to the Premier League. He was skinny, small, but he made it look easy. People talk about Premier League being bare physical. Cesc Fabregas has never really struggled in Premier League, apart from maybe his last season at Chelsea where he wasn't getting enough game time. But that's in the latter stage of his career. But what he done at Arsenal, you get me, was a madness. For a long time, the best midfielder in the Premier League for me. Went to Barcelona, won a lot of trophies, come back and win and dominate the assist record in the Premier League at Chelsea. A lot of my guys were saying, I'm not sure about signing Fabregas, and after we saw the madness he done in his first season at Chelsea, he won the Premier League. So man, Cesc Fabregas for me, number 7, easily.
Number 6. It deeps me not to put this guy higher, fam, but mate, I got man like Yaya.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking of putting him higher, but mate, my reason, obviously, same as yours, my reason. Mate, let's not talk too much about Uncle Yaya, fam. Since Lampard, he was the only midfielder to score over 20 goals. Ridiculous stats, fam. I can't remember what league what specific year it was, but mate, he was just an animal in midfield. He was like a train, fam. He had everything. He had the height, the physique, the power, the speed. Even when he was running with the ball, he's not fast, but he looked like he was just gone, fam. And it's he had everything: technical ability. He was mobile. He was everywhere. Fam, he can do the job. And blood, for me, he's a Man City legend as well, fam. He has to be.
My number 6 is David Silva. Again, there's actually arguments to suggest that he could be 1, 2, 3, 4. City fans probably have to go harder to get his name more spoken of. I mean, David Silva, best attacking midfielder in the Premier League for a long time. Obviously, he was one of the main reason City dominated. You get me? Him, Yaya, Aguero. Obviously, we know they're called Company, Aguero, Yaya Toure. You know, but not only that, bruv, he was that silky Spanish player. He played as well with elegance. He's top 6 of when it comes to assist. You get me, of all time. He was slapping assists, over 10 assists every season for so long. He scored crucial goals as well. And part of the Spain team that won the World Cup, the Euros. Just a great player, bruv. Like, just a very reserved person. If he had a more extravagant personality, I feel like people would be talking more of him. But he never put a foot wrong. And look at what he's doing in Spain right now. Like, you would never think this guy's 35. So yeah, man, David Silva is number 7, and number 6, but I do feel like he should be higher on my list.
Number 5 is Paul Scholes.
What? Oh,
it's mad.
My God.
You know what?
Mate, just tell us why he's
number 5, like, mate, it doesn't mean that he's below any of the names that it's hard like this comparing, but man like Paul Scholes,
bro.
Yeah, I rate Scholes so much, fam.
You put him 5?
Fam, you'll see. You'll start to see why.
Okay, go on.
It's like, yeah, man like Paul Scholes, let me not talk too much. Everybody knows man's a legend at Man United. He was iconic. You get me? Them winning the treble. And then afterwards he just went on to dominate the Premier League in midfield for years, fam. And everyone knows, fam, give Scholes half a yard, 30 yards out, man, slapping it top bins, fam. And obviously he was iconic, and he was the core for Alex Ferguson when he just came through, and for his longevity in the Prem, for him to carry on playing until he was about 40, 39 probably. Like,
I think about 38. Anyway, I don't know about that.
Let's say 38. Like, for you to play in the Prem for that long and to look after yourself, to play for that long until the age of 38, it's unbelievable, fam. And the titles that he's won, let's not talk about it, mate. Number 5.
That is blasphemy for me, but my number 5 is Yaya Toure. Yaya Toure, to be fair, on this list, I'll say is the best all-round midfielder out of everyone on this list. He has one of the best individual performances in Premier League history. You get me? And it was just unfortunate that Luis Suarez as well had one of the best individual performances in Premier League history as well that same season. Otherwise, Yaya, some still say he should have won it.
He deserved the PFA.
But yeah, I feel like I should have probably just shared it. You get me? Because Suarez on the madness as well. But anyway, Yaya was like the first piece that really started the City dominance. Like, when he came, they started winning titles, and he was a bully. Like, the guy's big, but he is so technical. Like, his passing, vision, slapping free kicks. Like, he had everything he was an all-round midfielder. He's a guy you don't even know where his position, because you can play him a 10, you can play him box to box, you can play him holding midfield.
Yeah,
he just fits that role easily. Let's not forget, he played centre-back in the Champions League final against Man United for Barcelona and had Cristiano around in pockets. So it means he could, if he wanted to. Obviously, I feel like he would have been much higher in that list, on the list for me, had he come to Man City probably a bit younger, so that he had stayed at his peak for more than 4 years. Because he gave us great 4 years, you know what I'm trying to say? But obviously he was already kind of old in his last few years. But even like prior to his last season, before they gave him that 1-year contract, if I remember when he came back in the squad, man started scoring bare goals, and Pep offered him that 1-year contract, and we know what happened. He stayed and he left. But they should therefore put a statue for him. But like David Silva, he's definitely one of the best midfielders we've seen in Premier League, and people need to continue speaking about his name. You get me? Not only because I'm Ivorian, but he's one of the best midfielders we've seen in a long time.
On number 4, it's Mr. Chelsea. Man like Frank Lampard.
What? This guy is... His top 5 is already looking epic, blood.
Man said epic, fam.
Yeah, go on. Why is Lampard 4th?
Blood, he is... Blood, do you even have him on your list, fam?
Of course.
Alright, cool. Yeah, number 4. Fam, you can't me about number 4. Fam, man like Frank Lampard is, Chelsea's all-time top goal scorer. Consistently, when he was there, he was scoring more than, 10 or 15 goals every single season, fam. Consistently. And it's like, I think he was one not the only one, but he's one of those midfielders that define that box to box kind of position where, fam, anywhere in and around the area, penalty area, he's always there. Right time, right place. Him, Drogba, Terry, that iconic spine, fam. They done for the last decade. I would say them and Man United has been so dominant in the Premier League, and he's been so iconic in the last kind of generation for us. So it's like, and obviously, mate, everybody in England knows what he's done in the Premier. There's no need to talk too much about him. Number 4.
It's blasphemy. My number 4 is actually one of my favourite players of like in Premier League history. My captain, Patrick Vieira. Now, Patrick Vieira, everyone knows. I would have loved to have Vieira first, but I'm not gonna be them biased.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. Vieira, of course, great leader. He was very good technically, great tackler. Like I said, great leadership skills. The way he was so important to Arsenal. It's like during our Premier League winning days, you get me? And you could say, like, take away Henry and them man there, like, Vieira was the most important player. And we've seen what happened after Vieira left Arsenal. Because even we still had Henry when Vieira left. But what did we argue about for, like, the last 12 years?
You need the next Vieira, fam.
We can't find.
We didn't replace him, fam.
It's rare to find a guy like him, you know? And he actually scored crucial goals and stuff like that. And obviously we know his rivalry with Roy Keane and all these things. But Vieira, like I said, for me, I would have loved to have him as number 1. But I just feel like the other guys on the list have achieved a bit more. You get me? I feel like, well, there's one on this list that's higher that hasn't actually achieved more than him in Premier League. If we're talking about in terms of trophies, but obviously Vieira, we know three Premier League trophies, multiple FA Cup trophies, and man, easily one of the best midfielders that we've ever seen, and a fantastic leader. So he's my number 4, man.
Alright, funny enough, he's my number 3.
Okay.
Man, like Uncle Patrick, fam. Obviously, as JP said, like, listen, when you speak about like the olden days football, fam, Vieira is always at the top of that list, fam. You get me? Obviously, him and Keane had that rivalry, which was iconic back in the day. But yeah, I mean, he was Mr. Arsenal. He was so vital, mate. He even, like, as JP said now, like, when he left, that was that bit missing, fam. And we never replaced him. I would say the closest thing we had to Vieira was Derby, fam. Yeah, he was the closest to him.
In terms of ability, but mate, we didn't see him for like 9 years.
Of course. And then obviously, like, I mean, he had everything. Passing, as JB said, score crucial goals. I mean, the leadership, everything. He had his influence in the dressing room, on the pitch, everything. As JP said, like, take away Thierry, he was the most important player in Arsenal's team, and he was iconic to that invincible season where, mate, put Arsenal on the map. You understand? So nothing more to say, mate.
Okay, well, my third. This is where it gets techie. My third is Frank Lampard, and Frank Lampard is very simple. This guy, we're talking about one of the all-times top Premier League goal scorers as a midfielder. We're talking about the highest goal scoring midfielder in Premier League history. We're also talking about the top 3 assist man in Premier League history, or top 4 assist man in Premier League history, and multiple Premier League wins. And we're going by a guy for 4 years in a row scored over 20 goals.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
From midfield, fam.
Ridiculous.
You get me, Mr. Super Frank, and he's won everything there is to win at club level. And was, throughout all the managers that played at Chelsea, he was always a starting player. Like, he's a guy that obviously, there was a lot of rivalry. A lot of fans tend to think, I remember back in the day, like, he scores goals, but he doesn't do other things. But for me, I saw a guy that could pass, that could shoot, and that had excellent runs to the edge of the box. Very good at reading, at sniffing
your goal,
areas where he can score a goal, and that's what he done for majority of his career. You know, even when he went to play for New York, came to Man City, man's still slapping goals, like, and he wasn't even a starting player. So yeah, Frank Lampard, feel like apart from Chelsea fans, other fans kind of underrated.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, he's definitely one of the best Premier League midfielders. I just feel like the guy I've got higher than him had better all round game than him and more quality. But yeah, that's my number 3, fam.
Man number 2. God, fam. Ryan Giggs.
How? Ryan Giggs is a winger, fam.
No, but he molded into a centre mid, fam.
What?
There,
Hey, Orlando is having a man. Yeah, Ryan Giggs plays centre mid. But when Ryan Giggs was playing centre mid, at what point was he ever top 2 best midfielders in the country, blood? Giggs was like 33, 34, fam. Like, he was old. Like, what? Anyway, this is.
We can say the same, bro.
You're telling me Ryan Giggs was a better midfielder than Frank Lampard?
Mate,
in what year was this, please?
Completely different.
Giggs was a winger. That's when he was at his peak.
Yeah.
But we're saying best midfielders, yeah, and man said Ryan Giggs is better than Yaya Toure, better than Vieira.
Bro, I'm not saying
as a midfielder.
Better.
We said attacking, defensive, holding.
Yeah.
So where was Giggs so excellent in the middle?
Oh my lord, fam! Oh my lord. Obviously, he's not gonna be like them ballers that are not flashy or whatever, but man did the most simplest stuff in midfield, fam.
Where's he better than anyone on this list in the midfield? That's the question.
Fam.
At what point was Ryan Giggs an established? Let me tell you something. Even when he played midfield for Man United, he wasn't even a starter like that. So at what point? Because fam, there was Scholes and Bearman, they're starting. There was the Roy Keanes and you get me. I can't remember right now, but okay. Anyway, give us your reason. That is absolutely the most shocking thing I've heard in a decade. Like.
Yeah, obviously, as you said, yes, he did start off as a winger. You get me, that famous goal against Arsenal, this and that, mate. But later on in his career, as he got older, he molded into that centre mid, similar to like Beckham was.
Yeah, but when Beckham was playing centre mid, bro, it wasn't Beckham at his peak though.
No, it was, fam.
Not at his peak. When he was playing for AC Milan.
No, not at his peak.
Even at Real Madrid, that Beckham had, he was a right winger, and obviously he started playing middle more centrally, but he wasn't the best player during them times.
Madrid, yeah, of course. But it was his ability that, fam. Talking about Beckham, not Giggs. But like with Giggs, it's like, fam, you can't not have him there, fam.
Fam, Giggs is nowhere near top 10 best
ability
midfielders.
Ability.
He's in the wingers.
Yeah, ability wise, I would say
it's not even just ability, bro. Like, he hasn't done great things he was just consistent, played well, you know, because he was a fit old guy. But who the hell remembers Ryan Giggs centre mid?
Oh lord.
That is but fair enough, that's your opinion, mate. You're entitled to your opinion.
Right,
you get me? Of Ryan Giggs. Do you have anything else left to say about Giggs?
There's nothing more to say. How many times have he won with Man United? How influential has he been?
But then you said Scholes. Where was Scholes in your list?
Huh?
Where was Scholes in your list?
Scholes was number 5.
So Ryan Giggs is higher up than Scholes, who have won the same amount of league titles, and Scholes being an actual elite centre midfielder. That is so blasphemous, fam. And that is disgraceful, fam. You get me? But that's your opinion. Number 2 for me is Steven Gerrard. Look, Steven Gerrard would have actually been number 1, but he can't be number 1 if he never won a Premier League title. Because of his greatness, I put him number 2. Like, because I saw the leadership qualities, I saw the excellent goals, the motivation he was bringing to the league. He was lighting it up with mad goals and he was doing a lot. Like, Steven Gerrard was a global name. We know what he done with Liverpool in the Champions League, but obviously we're talking about Premier League all time. Obviously in Premier as well, when we talk about midfielders, he's one of the all-time top goal-scoring midfielders also, gave a lot of assists, all of that. But obviously, for a long time, Steven Gerrard was the best midfielder in the Premier League. Like, there was no debate about that. But obviously, now we have time to digest everything. And you have to consider certain things. And that's why I said, made Steven Gerrard escape being my number one is the fact he's got 0 like Premier League titles. Like, so for me, he can't be the best Premier League midfielder of all time without winning a Premier League title. You know what I'm trying to say? So, yeah, I don't even have to talk too much about Steven Gerrard. Everyone knows how great he was and everything he done. And, you know, even later on, he became more of a deeper player, you know, banging in the penalties and that. But yeah, Steven Gerrard's number 2 for me, mate.
Number 1, I was torn, fam. So torn.
Torn with 2? You've already given us your other 9. Who's your number 1, man?
Well, I was torn between Gerrard and Keane, fam.
How does this work? Wait, hold on. You haven't even put one of them on the list.
You haven't even put Keane on the list either.
Keane is not going to be on my list.
Oh, Lord.
I don't care what anyone tells me. Keane is outside. Bro, Keane is not better than all the names I named. Like, I'm not just going based on just... Keane had great leadership quality, but as a footballer, he wasn't, like, excellent, bruv. He done his role well as a leader. And, he even scored a few goals, and he was great. But, bro, like, talking about ball, as a midfielder, was he better than Scholes?
Yeah, that's why.
Was he better than Gerrard?
That's where it was my conflict. Because obviously, fam, I rate Gerrard so much, but obviously, as you said, like, fam, how can I put him on? How can I put him in as this? Not number 1, as you said, if he's not going to win a Prem. But as Keane, it's like, fam, back in the day, it wasn't all silky football, fam. Obviously, we're living in different times even the different times like now, like, football's more...
Bro, when was anyone ever... When you was watching football, when does anyone ever say Roy Keane is the best midfielder in the Premier League? There you go. I've never heard that argument. We're not just going by just titles, because Darren Fletcher won bare titles.
Obviously, if we're talking about titles, then, fam, you can put Fletcher, Anderson...
That's what I'm saying. So how does Keane...
But, fam...
How do you even get... what I'm saying is, how do you have them two? You're confused about them two. That means you should have at least put one of them too. But it means now, if you choose one's not even on the list.
I know. It's mad.
Which makes no sense.
Well, exactly. There were so many... There's like 3 honourable names that I had to leave out, fam.
No, fam, that is... Bro, this guy's list is a madness, bro. So who's your number 1 then?
Bro, I don't even know, fam. I'm probably going to have to say Gerrard, fam. Even though he hasn't won a Prem, but, blood, like, the image that he left on the Prem, like, fam, Mr. Liverpool, leader for how many years? He's been, actually, did he play? Yeah, he's been at Liverpool basically almost all his life in the academy, breaking into the first team, becoming captain at a young age. Obviously, as you said, won multiple Champions League with Liverpool, which is an unbelievable achievement. But he's been so unlucky not to win a Prem, fam. Especially, what was it, the 13-14 season? Yeah, that was so unlucky. But other than that, his distribution, technical abilities, leadership in on the pitch, dressing room, everything, the influence he had to the football fans, not even in Liverpool, but England as well. In the whole of the Prem and England as well, like, fam, he's absolute Prem legend, fam.
Fair enough. My number 1 is Paul Scholes, mate, because it makes more sense to have Scholes than Keane, because Scholes is a better midfielder. To start off with, we will start with that, because the whole point is the best midfielders in Premier League history. Paul Scholes is basically a Spanish-English player, you get me? Paul Scholes was basically the English Xavi. He's the English Pirlo. Call it whatever you want to call it. He had the same sort of ability as these man. When it comes to overall, like I said, I still would have had Gerrard number 1, but never won no Prem. But it's still, in terms of ability, it's all close anyways. So I wouldn't mind someone saying Gerrard, but for me, Scholes, like I said, look how Xavi's embraced, you know. And I feel like obviously Scholes is part of obviously an era where they didn't win nothing for England and things like that, where people like Xavi,
the golden era,
they didn't just do it for the club, they've done it for the countries, but obviously it's the players that have around and the system as well. It plays along. So I feel like Scholes, if he had a team like that as well, he would have won titles. But bro, Premier League, bro, we're talking about 12, 13 Premier League titles.
Yeah, disgusting.
Like FA Cups, he's won Champions Leagues, like, and he's been one of the most important players in Man United's history. And everybody in every Man United legend says Paul Scholes is the best midfielder there. You get me? They said that guy is a magician. His passing ability, his ranges of passes, short, long, his shooting ability. Because obviously he played more offensively back in the days, but later on he dropped deeper to dictate tempo. And people, I've heard Man United legends say, like, in training, you want to be on Scholes' team because he just never loses the ball. Very underrated as well, because I feel like he's just quiet figure. Because people always talk about Gerrard and Lampard, not so much Scholes, because I feel like during the Premier League era where everyone was talking bare, feel like Gerrard and Lampard were the ones that the eyes were on, like, because they were scoring goals. And they would, like, you know what I'm saying? Scholes was playing with, like, other guys who had bigger names than him.
Yeah, it's that he was just there to dictate play. Once in a while, he will score a banger.
So it was kind of underrated because he was playing he's played with Ronaldo, Rooney. So these men are the big names. But people like Gerrard and Lampard were like the prolific guys for their teams. So everyone was talking about them. But then when you look at the whole thing, like I said, Scholes has
so iconic.
Same ability as a lot of the men I've mentioned on that list. And for me, titles and ability alone puts him as number one for me, bruv. So here we have it, mate. Mr. Roy Keane on the other side and Giggs. Oh, this guy might as well be a Man U fan, blood.
This guy,
man's trying to just put every Man U player. He's forcing Man U players in the list, even though they're not.
Bare omission that.
But you get me. That's his opinion. But yeah, that's our number 10. That's our 10 best Premier League players. I mean, Premier League midfielders of all time.